If you're new to this channel, we do things a little differently here. We don't rank our top songs, we don't tell you who we think is going to win, and instead of reacting off the cuff to videos we're seeing for the first time, we spend months and months doing exhaustive research long into the night until our houses look like Demi Moore's living room from The Substance. We generally focus on one song at a time, like our 45-minute long breakdown on Espresso Macchiato, but we wanted to try something new this year. The last time we covered every single song was back in 2015, when I had a lot more hair, but a much smaller audience. So today, we're going to look at every song in Semi-Final 1, including the automatic qualifiers that we'll be performing on that night. We won't be able to explore every angle, but even if you're a degenerate Eurovision junkie who has a tattoo of Valentina Monetta, we bet we can teach you a thing or two. So pour yourself the beverage of your choice and get cozy. I'm Matt Rather, and this is Overthinking Eurovision. Before 2011, the word Jedward was merely the title of a crossover fanfic I wrote where Jacob and Edward are magically combined by Giles. But that was before Eurovision. Back in March, I saw this video pop up and I thought, I don't really see it. Then I saw who made the video.
The copy did not work. They looked like kinda weird, with sunglasses and silver costumes.
Vibe is pronounced like the word vibe, but spelled with an A and an E that are fused together, much like Jacob and Edward are fused together in a certain fanfiction that you know what, never mind. These two aren't twins like Jedward, that's big vibe on the left and small vibe on the right, but honestly, they seem to be leaning into the comparisons with their Mylar hazmat suits. Eurovision and siblings go together like siblings, I guess. In fact, there are 6 countries this year alone that will have siblings up on stage. Brothers have actually won the contest twice. In 2000, it was the Olsens from Denmark, and in 1984, the Harrys won it for Sweden. On the other hand, the band Sisters, which represented Germany in 2019 singing the song Sister, yeah, not actually sisters. Now, weirdly, Iceland has sent siblings to Eurovision 3 times in the past 5 years. There was Daði og Gagnamagnith in 2021. Daði's sister, Sigrun, sang backup. The next year, Iceland sent Systur. And unlike the German band, these sisters are actually sisters. So hey, I guess Iceland is kind of vibing with sibling love. Much like how in my fanfiction, Rosalie and Alice team up to Justyna Steczkowska has been to Eurovision before, way back in 1995. We made a spreadsheet with the birthdays of every single 2025 ESC participant just to show you this pie chart. 62% of this year's artists weren't even alive back then. Crimson Tide was the #1 movie, This Is How We Do It was the #1 song in the US, and the very day of the competition was the season finale of Captain Planet.
Our world is in peril. Gaia, the spirit of Earth, can no longer stand the terrible destruction plaguing our planet.
Speaking of Gaia, try to imagine what a song called Gaia might be about. I'll wait. You got it? Yeah, you're probably right.
She's feeding us, she's giving us love, she's giving us a place to live.
And then at the end of this interview, Justyna just casually mentions that her song contains actual magic words.
And so your album will heal people, yes, and give them like power and also energy.
True, that's true.
Back in December 2023, her song Witch also contained these mantras.
We're proud of being Slavic, and it's a part of our culture and a part of our history.
It wasn't.
Very little is known about real Slavic paganism, but that didn't stop people from developing a whole new agey belief system called Rodnoveri. These words are not Polish or any modern Slavic language, so where did they come from? We decided to ask Professor Alexander Maxwell, who specializes in the history of linguistic ideologies. The oldest written texts in Slavic are Christian books, and traditional Christianity includes the idea that the words of prayers have magic power, e.g. to turn wine into the blood of Christ. I doubt that any magic words from pre-Christian pagan traditions survive, but many of the words she uses sound traditionally Slavic. Jarun, for example, sounds a lot like Perun, the old pagan god of thunder. So maybe that makes them feel authentic? And you know what? The world can use all the positive energy it can get right now. So, Chara Duro to you too, Justyna. And welcome back.
How much time do we have left together?
Klemen may be the funniest singer in Slovenia, and he's got the most serious song at Eurovision. He's mainly famous as an impressionist, a talent that he showed off by impersonating all the winners of Eurovision since the year 2000.
Just take it closer to you. You're stuck on me like I did to.
Klemen has 13 videos with over 1 million views, including a Putin parody with 58 million. That's more than 3 times the views of Tommy Cash's most popular video. But there's one guy he's rarely performed as: himself. In 2019, he said, "I'd like to take on projects that will perhaps be a step further than the imitations I've done so far. Something that will express me more personally. Something that I can't yet put into words, but it's smoldering inside me." Klemen's transition has taken 5 years of online lessons, songwriting camps, and the occasional round of Mario Kart with his kids. His first album will come out later this year, and one of its main subjects is his wife's battle with a rare form of cancer. So this feels like a real left turn for the Weird Al Yankovic of Slovenia. He reminds us of Aram MP3, who represented Armenia in 2014. Aram was mainly known as a comedian, and his singing was mainly parodies. But he unexpectedly decided to switch gears and went to Eurovision with a song that started out John Legend and ended up Skrillex.
We mixed the symphonic orchestra with a dubstep. It's like a new thing.
Not Alone finished 4th, so Klemen is one comedian we should all take seriously.
Mi amore, mi amore.
After spending an unhealthy amount of time inside Tommy Cash's head, we're feeling a little cashed out. So to give you a brand new perspective on Espresso Macchiato, we decided to bring in an expert.
Один из родных языков Томми Кэш – это русский язык. У него есть семья, которая живет в России. Это легко представить, что Томми Кэш мог бы стать настоящей звездой в России, если он решил смотреть в своей карьере на восток и не на запад. Это возможно, что его герой был бы оксимирон, а не Kanye West. But in our universe, Tommy Cash has spent the last 10 years moving further and further west. At first, he was rapping in English with an exaggerated Slavic-style accent. Then he ditched all the post-Soviet stuff and got a lot more artsy. Then he started hanging out with Rick Owens and Charlie XCX. Tommy Cash has evolved many times in his career, both parodying and pushing the boundaries of modern musical norms. Sometimes he breaks those norms in a way that limits the distribution of his music videos to specific outlets. For that reason, there's kind of an irony in Espresso Macchiato being one of his safest and most mainstream sounding songs to date. Ahead of its release, my mind was running wild with what he might be about to bring us, only for him to seemingly fit into a Eurovision-shaped box rather than try to shape the contest to his will instead. The question now really is whether Eurovision will simply be a detour on his journey and he'll continue as before, or a whole new direction. All we have to do is look at the different ways in which his 2 best Eurovision friends, Gaja and Joost, fared after the show. Joost's music post-Eurovision is basically the same as before. His most recent album shows him untouched musically, if not mentally, by the contest and its impact. But in the case of Gaja, Cha Cha Cha, much like Espresso Macchiato is for Tommy, was totally different to his previous output. He's stayed in that place ever since the contests. It changed his musical identity. It'll be interesting to see whether Tommy ends up in the same place or somewhere very different in a year's time. Fortunately for Tommy, he does share one key possibility with Joost and Gaja. That is the potential to win the entire televote. Удачи, Tommy. Estonia рассчитывает на тебя.
Imagine you're a Spaniard in 2001. You put on your El Nino t-shirt, you jump in your Seat Ibiza, and you turn on the radio. This is what you hear. Melody was only 10 when her song The Dance of the Gorilla was a #1 hit in Spain and went huge all over Latin America. In 2009, a teenaged Melody almost went to Eurovision. In the national selection show, she teamed up with a flamenco dance group called Los Vivancos. In the semifinals, Amante de la Luna got the highest score from the televoters and from the jury. But between the semifinal and the final, Los Vivancos quit because the stage was too small for them to do the tricks their fans apparently expected. Melody had to order up some new backup dancers on Wallapop, which is apparently how se dice wish.com in Espanol. In the finals, she tied for first place, but lost because her televote score was lower. But you can't keep a diva down, and 16 years later, Melody is going to Eurovision. Now, interestingly, there was a song called Diva that won Eurovision back in 1998. But these songs are very different. The Dana International song depicts divas as larger than life. And when she cries, Diva is an angel. When she laughs, she's a devil. Melody talks about a simple diva, like a mere mortal. To Melody, a diva is not one in a million, it's every woman who has the strength to stand tall, raise her hands up, and then put her hands back down again, and walk like a gorilla. Bird of Prey is a song that's going nowhere in a hurry. It's got a mixed meter, a quick tempo, and a series of fascinating chords that feel more giant steps than Pontic Caspian step. Guys, I'm really proud of that joke. Please laugh. But the chords don't seem to lead to each other the way a harmonic progression is supposed to. You see, in a song, the chords provide a road for the melody to drive on. With a simple progression like 1-4-5-1, it's a nice straight highway. Now, in other cases, the chords take some turns. In Nothing Compares to You, the chorus begins with a chord based on E flat, which is unexpected because E flat doesn't occur in the key we're in.
But he's a fool, 'cause nothing compares.
Unexpected, but it still has a clear relationship to what came before it. Bird of Prey is like going off-roading. All the chords are weird, and there's barely anything connecting them. The chorus begins with F sharp minor 9. We might expect that to go to D sharp 7 and then resolve to G sharp minor. What we actually get is B9, then A sharp half diminished, and then 3 chords in one measure. From a music theory perspective, there's barely any map here. Now, prog rock bands have a tendency to embrace complexity for the sake of complexity. Maybe Ziferblat is just showing off. But here's what they said about the song's meaning. It's about our problems we go through, the tragedy for the last 3 years. To be honest, the last 11 years. What if Bird of Prey is meant to capture that feeling of struggling as hard as you can without a lot of forward momentum to show for it? Ukraine has been fighting to hold on to its territory for more than a decade now, and at this point, Dvorak's Song of Defiance feels too simplistic. Maybe the reality of a war of attrition with no easy answers calls for a little prog rock. Complex chords followed by more complex chords, and no clear sense of how things will resolve, either musically or geopolitically. Måns Zelmerlöw won Eurovision in 2015 with Heroes, thanks to this cute little gnome who later punched me in the face.
You are not a special effect.
You tell me.
But when he competed in Melodifestivalen this year, the fandom did not greet him as a hero. First of all, the return of a former Swedish winner reminded people of Lorene's controversial win in 2023. Secondly, the song sounded like it had been locked in a time capsule since the days of Obama and Avicii. Finally, it was a song that appeared at a time of global uncertainty and urgency with the title revolution and the most generic, bland message imaginable.
You can do anything at Zamboko.
It seemed in every way the wrong song for this particular moment, and it also seemed inevitable. But 2 years after Sweden robbed Finland of the trophy, it unexpectedly balanced the scales by letting a Finnish band win Melodifestivalen for the first time ever. Kai is 3 Finns singing in Swedish, playing up the stereotypes that Swedes have for Finns. Specifically, that Finns really like saunas. The band wanted to embrace the quote-unquote weirdness aura that fellow Finns Gaja and Windows 95 Man brought to the table. But this wasn't Finland, this was Sweden, where pop music is a national religion. Sweden has not sent a song in Swedish since 1998. Their entries are always stripped of any national identity in favor of an international slickness. But once Bara Bastu hit social media, it was an instant sensation. It even got the ultimate stamp of Swedish approval.
Taxi, Kolme, sauna.
Yes, that's Bjorn from ABBA. This song is, simultaneously, the most Swedish song Sweden has ever sent, and the least Swedish song Sweden has ever sent. I guess we're getting a revolution after all. Last year, Rim Tim Tagi Dim won the televote and came in second overall, largely because of its cat representation. But the song's theme of immigration and the pain of leaving home resonated across borders. Interestingly, Baby Lasagna himself never had that experience. He was just imagining what it might have felt like. When NAPA sings about the same subject, it's all too real.
Isso marcou-nos de uma forma muito grande e apesar de já estarmos aqui há alguns anos a viver, temos sempre essa vontade de voltar e aquela angústia da saída e saudade da família e isso tudo.
NAPA is from the archipelago of Madeira, which is about 1,000 kilometers from mainland Portugal. Prince Henry the Navigator got his name for a reason. It's mainly known for two things, Cristiano Ronaldo and fortified wine. In 2023, a Madeiran newspaper published a heartbreaking story, Young People with No Space to Dream on the island. They say they're being forced to emigrate for a variety of reasons, such as low wages, job insecurity, high property prices, the economic crisis, and even the lack of professional opportunities. The same year, the government reported that foreign residents made up the highest share of the population ever. This was partially due to the non-habitual resident program Portugal started in 2009, which lets foreigners pay significantly lower taxes for up to 10 years. So while NAPA may not be able to live in Madeira, a bunch of YouTubers from Germany and the UK found it pretty affordable.
The weather is very, very good, especially compared to the UK. I mean, there is no comparison.
This is roughly what's going on in Baby Lasagna's part of Croatia, where wealthy expats are pricing out the locals. And the shared experience of not being able to build a life in the place you grew up is connecting with people all over the EU. At 19, Kyle Alessandro is the youngest competitor this year. But this was not his first time competing at Melody Grand Prix. Back in 2023, Kyle was 1/3 of Umami Tsunami. Huh. 3 young people dressed in shiny, coordinated outfits taking turns singing and rapping while doing some energetic, coordinated dancing? Yeah, this is feeling a little K-pop inspired to me. Right down to taking Native American culture way out of context. In an article titled Umami Tsunami Puts Asian Pop on the MGP Map, a producer explained, "We hope that the Norwegian people are ready for something different. K-pop has a small community for now, but I think we are at the forefront of its development." Cadillac. Nice current reference for a Norwegian teenager to make.
He made Lexus, but he ain't know it.
There was reason to believe Norway might be ready for K-pop. Back in 2019, when the president of Korea visited Norway, King Harald V had this to say to him. As for Umami Tsunami, if you Google the band now, your first hit will be a Mexican-Asian fusion restaurant in Massachusetts, which should tell you how Melody Grand Prix went. They made it to the final round, but then came in last place. Interestingly, that same year, right across the North Sea, Denmark selected a song that might have been even K-poppier than Umami Tsunami.
I'm not scared to love you, but I'm scared of breaking my heart.
But Riley, for all his aegyo, didn't even make it out of the semi at Eurovision. So at least for the foreseeable future, Euro K-pop seems like a bad bet.
아직 준비가 안 된 것 같군요. 여러분 자녀들은 좋아할 겁니다.
Lighter is a more conventional song with soaring backing vocals and no rapping. It owes more to Queen of Kings than to Geronimo. But there's at least one thing Kyle kept. It's obviously a metaphor that speaks to him. As the Umami Tsunami Instagram page said, "We are committed to delivering high-quality, affordable food made from fresh ingredients." You know what? I may have misclicked on something. Red Sebastian got his name from the crab in The Little Mermaid, one of his favorite movies growing up. But Strobe Lights seems more inspired by another piece of children's entertainment. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll has never been out of print, and it's inspired many a pop song. And Strobe Lights refers not only to Wonderland, but to its 1871 sequel, Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. In Through the Looking Glass, Alice meets the Red Queen. And unlike in the Disney movie, the Red Queen isn't running around yelling, "Ah! Flip their heads!" Instead, she's a friendly guide who introduces Alice to the rules of the strange new world. When Alice says she'd like to be a queen too, the Red Queen smiles and encourages her. In the Strobe Lights music video, there are actually two Red Sebastians, one who's confused and new to the rave world, and one who's already a queen. And when Red Sebastian sings, "Come down through the looking glass," the two meet. Just like in Through the Looking Glass, the Red Queen then departs and challenges Alice to find her again to become a queen herself. Okay, so here's what Red Sebastian had to say about his song.
You have to enjoy life and just give it your all and take everything out of it and just live your life as the way you want to live it.
Spoilers for a 154-year-old book, but it turns out Wonderland was just a dream. Which means that the Red Queen was really just a manifestation of Alice. Similarly, I think this music video is saying that there's a version of you out there already living the life you want. All you have to do is find them. Also, can I just say that the epilepsy warning before the music video for Strobe Lights is considerate, but probably redundant. Moldova? More like Moldover. Moldova's problems began when they asked people to send them songs back in November, and they got only 30 valid submissions.
I got a quarter. I got a rock.
So the good news is that every single person that applied got to be in a televised audition show on January 18th. Well, except for one group that turned out to be Ukrainian pranksters with an AI-generated song. And Valeria, who arrived at the studio too late to participate. And these other two. Also, one guy competed twice in the same show with two different songs. And one of the artists was called Poops. But the important thing is, a jury selected 12 songs to advance to the finals on February 22nd. The song Semafuore by Bacho and Carnival Brain was the heavy favorite to win. It was co-written by one of the guys from the Sunstroke Project, who wrote one of the biggest Eurovision hits of all time. But only 4 days after their audition show, Teleradio Moldova announced it was withdrawing from the competition, citing a decrease in public interest and the overall quality of the songs and artistic performances. Which basically means, to us, all of you are poops.
Where do you go? Passion is my passion.
I can't watch anymore.
This Eurovision season had a wild number of songs disqualified or withdrawn from competition. Amos Killa pulled out of Sanremo after he was implicated in an anti-mafia police investigation. Natalie Balmix was disqualified in Croatia because she changed more than 50% of her song after submitting it. Sort of a musical Ship of Theseus situation. And Evelina Gancevska in Lithuania had to drop out because she and a singer in Croatia had mistakenly been offered the same song, which is the Eurovision equivalent of two women wearing the same dress to a wedding. If you want to read a complete list of the withdrawals and disqualifications, lower the playback speed of this video in 3, 2... Sanremo is one of the biggest events of the year for Italy's most glamorous entertainers. And that makes it not just a music festival, but a fashion show. And out of the 29 artists at Sanremo, there was just one who said he wasn't working with a designer or a stylist. But he clearly is putting a lot of thought into the way he looks. See how he scribbled Andy underneath his shoe? Toy Story seems like a favorite movie of his. Here's a clip of him from 2020. On the duet night of Sanremo, every artist needed to bring in a guest to perform with. Lucio Corsi chose Topo Gigio, which sounds like an off-brand hard seltzer, but is actually a mouse? Created in 1958, Topo Gigio was massively popular in Italy for generations. And not just in Italy. Beginning in 1963, he was a regular guest on The Ed Sullivan Show.
Welcome back, Topo. I haven't seen you in such a long time.
But why is he important to Lucio? He taught me how not to become a puppet. He taught me to cut the strings of those who would like to make you move as they please. And maybe that's why Lucio identifies with Woody. He's a toy, but he's a toy with free will. And, spoilers for Toy Story 4, he ultimately chooses his own happiness over the role he was created for. Lucio told reporters, if my song were an image, it would be a tree like those you climb as a child, or a slingshot. Those are both things that empower children. But Volevo Essere un Duro seems mainly about the singer's many Charlie Brown-esque shortcomings. How can a song about failure empower us? Because rejecting the standards of toughness, or fashion for that matter, is one of the most empowering things you can do. Azerbaijan has not shown a lot of ethnic diversity at Eurovision. In fact, in 2023, they didn't even show genetic diversity. Mamagama is different.
Elə bil ki, Azərbaycanın kiçik modeli, belə multikultural modeli, belə deyək.
Percussionist Arif is a straight-up Azeri from Baku. Hassan plays bass, and he's half Lebanese. But the lead singer, Asaf, is actually Jewish, one of about 40,000 Jews in the entire country. Specifically, he's one of the Mountain Jews, a subset of Mizrahi Jews who emigrated west from Persia and survived for 2,700 years by living on land nobody wanted. They speak a language called Judeo-Tat, a combination of Iranian and ancient Hebrew.
Forgive me for intruding, but it's remarkable that you even exist.
Asaf told a reporter, I feel like I'm not only representing Azerbaijan, my country, which I'm proud to represent, but also the Jewish people. You might think that being a Jew in Azerbaijan, a place where over 90% of the population is Muslim, would be a little stressful. But apparently not. In 1992, the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada reported there is no long history of anti-Semitism in Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan. One report states that anti-Semitism has been paradoxically absent in Azerbaijan.
Azərbaycan dünyada bəlkə yeganə belə bir yerdir, hansı ki doğrudan tolerantlığın magiyası var burada.
Perhaps one of the reasons why Azerbaijan has been so publicly supportive of its tiny Jewish population is because it has a strategic partnership with Israel. Israel has supplied it with weapons and technology in the never-ending Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. All the while, Israel might be eyeing Azerbaijan as a staging ground for future operations against their mutual enemy, Iran. So there you go. Azerbaijan is more diverse than you might think. Does anyone know where I can get some good matzo ball soup in Baku? Who is the most successful artist in Eurovision 2025? Melody from Spain had a #1 hit, but that was just in Spain. What if I told you that the contest features an artist who had a #1 hit in 18 countries?
Yo, listen up, here's the story.
Eiffel 65 was a loose collaboration between 3 Italians. Jeffrey J. and Maurizio Lobina had been working on Blue for a while, but it wasn't quite coming together. Then, Gabri Ponte stepped in.
So I said, hey guys, I have a different, vision on how this should sound.
The band members have different accounts of how extensive Ponte's contribution is. But the version of Blue that conquered the world will forever be known as the Gabri Ponte Ice Pop Mix. Ponte had the most successful solo career of Eiffel 65, scoring a top 10 hit as recently as 2014. He even had a credit on Austria's 2022 Eurovision song. So maybe it's not surprising that when Eiffel 65 competed in the San Marino selection show in 2024, Ponte sat it out. What is a little surprising is that the very next year, Ponte entered the same contest as a solo act and won. That's probably a coincidence. Tutta l'Italia was originally pitched to the Sanremo Festival, but that's a singing contest, and Ponte doesn't sing. The singers of Tutta l'Italia are two studio musicians who don't like to appear in public.
So we're gonna perform the song live together on stage, but it's gonna be masked.
But the Sanremo organizers liked the song so much, they used it in their advertising this year. The song was an unexpected hit, and Ponte slid into San Marino's selection as one of the big 9 that skipped straight to the finals. So this wasn't an attempt to embarrass Ponte's former bandmates. Still, this has got to be a bad feeling for the other 2 members of Eiffel 65. I wonder how you might describe that feeling.
Blue are the feelings that live inside me.
Shkodra Electronica are 2 Albanians who grew up in Italy. When Beatrice Gergi and Kala Latza started to make music together, one of their goals was finding a way to go home without taking any aeroplane. In the video for Zierm, you can see Beatrice wearing a traditional Albanian dress called a jubleta. Paging Will Shorts, this screams Saturday crossword. But sorry, did I say traditional? In an Instagram post, the designer said this was a modern reinterpretation of something traditional. And that's a pretty good summary of their music, too. So what is Zierm about?
The song is about kindness, and I am the part that hope and dream about this kindness for a minute in the world.
And I wanted to highlight one lyric that gives a glimpse of what this kindness looks like. As the name suggests, Shkodra Electronica proudly represents their hometown of Shkodër. And one of the things Shkodër is most notable for is religious coexistence. In the 2011 census, it was 45% Muslim, 47% Catholic. One of the Muslim leaders told a reporter, "We don't just have tolerance, we are on a higher level than that. We have harmony and love among members of all religions." During the pre-chorus, Beatrice repeats 2 words. The first hit for Amman is a luxury resort the Trump organization is planning in Albania. Luckily, this isn't buzz marketing, it's an Arabic word meaning sanctuary. And miserere means have mercy in Latin, and it's a word closely associated with one of the Psalms. So there's your harmony between religions right there in the song. After Joost became toast, the Netherlands almost declined to participate in 2025. They decided to stay, but Klein left some big shoulder pads to fill. Where were the Netherlands going to find an artist as likable and with such a touching backstory? Apparently, the Congo? Cloud Kiambe didn't even know the Netherlands existed when he became a refugee, fleeing a bloody civil war with his mother and 6 siblings. Imagine a 9-year-old boy having to accept that signs like this were not an elaborate prank, but an actual language. And then in May 2014, he turned on the TV in the refugee center and saw this.
Ja, dat was heel bijzonder. Het was zo vet om te zien hoe het zo allemaal landen bij elkaar bracht. En dat iedereen op dat podium anders was, maar ook zijn ding deed. En gewoon niks was hetzelfde. En dat was...
At the age of 19, Cloud's very first single hit #1 on the Dutch charts. Only 10 years after leaving the Congo, he performed for the King and Queen. Now he's representing his country at Eurovision, and Conchita Wurst showed up to wish him luck. Like Joost last year, Cloud has an inspiring story about overcoming tragedy through music. They even share a love of the Belgian singer Strobe. Joost called him out in Europapa, and Cloud almost opened for him in 2023. But Cloud is also an immigrant, and having him represent his nation at a time when nations all over the world are cracking down on immigration, Well, let's just say I hope the Prime Minister is watching closely.
Take a bite of my poison cake. Poison cake.
Marko Bošnjak came in second at Dora in 2022. A year later, he was still working at KFC, waiting for his big break. His Dora win in March should have tasted sweet. Instead, he was hit with a wave of online bullying that left him feeling sick, like some kind of dessert that has negative health effects. Not sure if there's a great metaphor for this.
When everything went down, I think for 5 days I was just like not able to even exit my house, and I was having like problems with my voice.
So why was Marko being treated like the bad guy? I mean, sure, he dressed up like Jafar and he sang about poisoning his enemies.
Special ice arsenic. Oh yes!
But the real issue here is that Marko came out as gay in 2024. On the most recent Rainbow Map grading LGBTQ+ rights, Croatia scored 50%. This actually makes it the top scoring nation in the Balkans and tied with Switzerland and Austria, but it's still significantly behind Western Europe and the Nordic countries, and Marko felt some backlash when he came out of the closet.
A lot of people reacted super bad to it because we still have a lot of work to do when it comes to like queer acceptance and in the Balkans.
Marko's main competition in Dora this year was Ağeng. The band's frontman is a conservative Christian who described same-sex couples becoming foster parents as, quote, so backward when it comes to human dignity, end quote. Ağeng won the Dora televote, but Marko beat them thanks to the jury. Unfortunately, the whole thing got framed as the public's God-fearing fave being beaten by a gay guy with a satanic song.
People were just so happy that they can be homophobic towards me.
Even a prominent Croatian priest weighed in. Imagine one of our high school students who, after suffering some injury, decides to take the recipe of this song in order to feel the sweetness of revenge and bring the unjust world into balance. And the criticism only intensified when Marko tried to confront his haters in a television interview.
Jako puno ljudi u Hrvatskoj I dalje je primitivno I imaju baš uska shvaćanja svijeta.
And maybe that explains the odd ending of the music video where Marko eats his own poison cake. The whole thing has felt a little toxic for everyone. We hope that Marko's performance in Basel can put some non-poison icing on this whole experience. But maybe after Eurovision, no carbs for a while. Switzerland is the defending champion this year, which means Zoe Meh is probably going on a voyage to the right side of the scoreboard. See, over the last 10 years, the host country has finished in the top 4 0 times. They finished in the bottom 4 6 times. For instance, in 2015, Austria sent a perfectly nice piano ballad by the Makes, and it was popular enough to hit number 2 on the Austrian charts. At Eurovision, it got the dreaded 0 point, despite burning a perfectly good piano for our amusement.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
One theory about this is that skipping directly to the finals is actually a bad thing. The semifinals are a chance to get your song out there and build buzz, and if you don't perform on Tuesday or Thursday, the media is just going to show clips of someone else's song instead. So starting in 2024, they changed the rules. Even though Zoe is an automatic qualifier, she's leaving on her voyage a little bit early, and we'll be seeing her in semifinal 1. But Zoe Meh doesn't seem like she's even trying to win Eurovision. Like, if you were trying to win Eurovision, you might spin like the Tasmanian devil, surrounded by fireballs, pausing only to play the violin and fly up to the ceiling. Zoe has a lot more chill. Her song is about responding to the slings and arrows of the world, not with neo-pagan fury, delicious vengeance, or operatic despair, but rather a sort of sunny optimism. She describes herself as naive and wears it as a badge of honor. And that makes this song perfect for the curse of the host country. Zoe is almost daring you to hate it, and she's totally fine with that.
Quoi qu'il advienne, je ne cesserai jamais de chanter pour toi. Hush, if you know my name, then keep it a secret.
There have been over 1,700 Eurovision songs, but we don't think there's ever been anything quite like Shh, When Cyprus made its reveal on March 11th, it announced, "The song, produced with mystery and intensity in mind, invites listeners to uncover a hidden truth that will only be revealed on the Eurovision Song Contest stage in May." The lyrics were written by Elke Thiel, a former Dutch professional tennis player who now works as the Riddler. And you know what? We're kind of curious.
To many humans, a mystery is irresistible. It must be solved.
And after considering way too many options, we feel pretty good saying this is about Adonis.
I am famous for my beauty, who am I?
Adonis is literally synonymous with male beauty. Adonis was loved both by Aphrodite, who lived on Mount Olympus, and by Persephone, the goddess of the underworld. Zeus decided he needed to split his time between them, and thus stuck in between heaven and hell.
From tears and blood to flowers, who am I?
Adonis was gored by a wild boar and died in Aphrodite's arms. His blood mixed with her tears and created the anemone flower. There's also a pretty yellow flower called Adonis vernalis. There's a river formerly known as the Adonis River in Lebanon, and supposedly it ran red with blood each year during the festival of Adonis. There's an entire section on the Adonis Wikipedia page called As a Dying and Rising God. Oh, and by the way, guess where Adonis was supposedly born? So if this theory is correct, then the live performance will reveal the song is about the Greek myth of Adonis. But here's the weird part. There already is an Adonis in Eurovision this year, and I'm not talking about Australia's hot milkman. Now, we think this is just a coincidence, because Cyprus picked their song way back in August, and Czechia didn't announce until December. But Cyprus now has the chance to do something very funny. Does the Eurovision rulebook actually say that an artist can't appear in two different songs?
Even if we wanted to, they never allow it.
But there's nothing in the rule book that says you can't.
Well, gang, that's semifinal 1. Do you have your own overthinking it take we didn't cover? Put it in the comments. And stay tuned for our look at semifinal 2. We'll be covering everything from ice cream history, to tragic space dogs, to political controversy. Actually, at least 2 political controversies. No, wait, I guess there's another one too. Maybe this was a bad idea. Is it too late to just rank my top 37 instead? I mean, I can do a reaction video. Look, wow, hey, oh my gosh. It's not hard.